Hey Stillwater, welcome to the Still Connect podcast, a podcast all about Stillwater, Oklahoma. I'm your host, Denver Evans, a born and raised Stillwater local and owner of Stillwater Digital Marketing. Every Wednesday, I share a friendly chat with someone in our community that's helping make Stillwater such a great place. Whether you're a longtime resident or just a visitor, this is your place to plug in, stay inspired, and still connect with the stories that shape our community. If you ever want to watch these interviews, you can also check them out on YouTube. In this episode, I got to sit down with Liz Humble with Badass Burritos. We were able to have this interview in Roundhouse Bakery, so big shout out to them. Thanks, guys. Let's jump right into the conversation. Just give us kind of an overview about all that stuff.
Okay, so we have lived in Stillwater for about nine years. Yeah, 9 years in September, so I can't believe we've lived here that long. We recently just moved, but we were from New Mexico, which has an amazing breakfast burrito scene.
It's not a scene you normally hear about.
No, I know that sounds silly, but we love breakfast burritos. Like my husband and I, that's one of our favorite things, especially for breakfast. And it's highly Hispanic population there, and so there's like literally a little small mom and pop type burrito or breakfast burrito, like Hispanic or Mexican food places, but they're like authentic Mexican food. And so they all have like really good breakfast burritos. So anyway, we had lived here for about probably 4 years, and we started talking about the lack of breakfast burritos here. I know that sounds like such a stupid thing, but when you crave a breakfast burrito, there's just nothing like it. So
no, I know exactly what you mean.
Okay. So, and there's a lot of places that sell breakfast burritos. Like you can get a fast food one, but
you can buy them. Doesn't mean that they have a certain level of quality.
No, they're not that good.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can get them from every fast food place, basically makes a breakfast burrito. But we just never had tried one that was good here. And we're like, this would be a great opportunity. We should open a food truck. Well, we had never considered opening a food truck in our life. We both work full time. We're both very busy. So we said, well, let's just start looking for one. At the time, our house was for sale in New Mexico still. We had lived here over 4 years and had not sold it. So it's just sitting there. We're paying a mortgage, all the things. And so we found a new realtor, and she actually sold the house. So we were like, okay, we have this little pocket of money. What could we do with it? And I said, well, we could try and find a food truck because we had been looking for one for a while. And my husband is very like a numbers guy. So he was like, for probably 2 years, been like figuring numbers and stuff like this. And he said, oh, we could do burritos for like $5. And I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Because everyone would buy a $5 burrito.
Right.
And I was like, we could sell at the college, which we found out that is not as easy as one would think.
Yeah.
But we thought this is a great place for one. Also, we thought that people would be up early for breakfast burritos. So our model has changed over the years that we've had it. We've had it for 3 years. But anyway, we had this pocket of money. Well, we were just looking. We were looking on Marketplace. We're looking on all these places for the deal that we needed, because if you buy a brand new food truck, it's like, I mean, you can spend anywhere from 60 to...
You can spend as much as you want.
Yeah, as much as you want. And we definitely didn't have that kind of money, but we did have a little bit. So we just set it aside, and we're like, we're going to keep looking. We finally found one in Kingfisher. And so we went out and looked at it. People were really nice. It was only 3 years old. It was just a trailer, which we thought might be better than a truck, so we didn't have to fix big engine problems, things like that. So anyway, we went out there and they said, well, we have 3 other people coming to look at it today. And we said, well, if it's meant to be, it'll be here tomorrow, And so we left, and the whole time home, we're like, we should have just bought it. Well, we waited till the next day. And I called the lady in the morning, and she said nobody else wanted it. So we went out there, bought it, and we were up and running in about a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Bobby Wintle from District.
I love Bobby.
I know. He's a great guy. He was like, oh my gosh, you're having breakfast burritos? And I was like, yeah, we just bought a truck, and we just don't know. We got to get all the licensing. He's like, oh, let's do it this weekend. It was homecoming weekend. He's like, oh, you guys, this is a great idea. Let's do this right now.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if we can do that in a week. And by God, we did. We got our licenses, the food permit, like all the things, which was a lot to get done in a week.
Yeah.
And our first opening was homecoming parade in front of district bikes. And it was a show.
Oh, no.
To say the least. I don't know if I can say that.
That's okay.
Okay.
I might bleep it out. Well, we'll see.
All right. So anyway, we were not prepared for the madness. We had good recipes. So, we knew what was in the burritos. We knew how to do it. We knew we wanted to have brisket, which several years ago, probably 20 years ago, I learned a recipe from a friend of mine who was Hispanic. I went to a baby shower and they had this brisket and it was amazing. And I was like, how did you make that? So she showed me how to taught me how to make it. I'd made it several times, but I was like, this would be so good on a breakfast burrito. So that was our main thing. We were like, we're going to have, regular breakfast meats, and then we're going to have our brisket. We're going to do breakfast only. And so that was our plan. And after our crazy weekend, where we had tickets lined up, it was terrible. Our give out time was like 20 minutes plus, which is terrible. Mm-hmm. Food truck people want it fast. So we have learned everything the hard way in this business.
Yeah.
I will say.
So one thing I wanted to pause on, your brisket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one of the reasons that I messaged you and said, hey, you want to be on the podcast is because your brisket breakfast burrito is my guilty pleasure.
Okay, good.
It is amazing. Everyone, if you've never had it, why haven't you had it? It's incredible.
It is good. It's good. I think the brisket is just, it's amazing. It's tender. It's not, you think of brisket, I always think people that smoke briskets, and it's good smoked brisket, but like this is just like shredded. Yeah, with like a lot of spiciness to it and stuff, and
but it's like it's not dry like a lot of those are, and it's
pretty good.
It's perfect, everyone. It's perfect.
So anyway, so we thought we would start this, and my husband would quit his job, and we would do this full time. And he's still working. I'm still working. We have realized that running a food truck is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And also, you have to go where the people are. So we've tried doing, we do Stone Cloud quite a bit.
Yeah.
We do Iron Monk occasionally. We used to do Iron Monk more often, but I feel like once Stone Cloud came in, it was less busy for us personally over there. So
when you all were open, like during the day, were there a lot of people who just like pull off the road and stop and?
Yeah, we've opened at our house on Jardo several times, and if I post it on social media, we have tons of people who stop by, especially on like a Saturday morning. We can be really busy there, but going to events, that's where we mainly actually make any money. Mid-South is huge for us,
right?
Yeah, the art show in Stillwater has been usually really busy. Christmas parade, anything where there's lots of people, that's where we have generally done well. But when we go to last year, I think we went to Stone Cloud almost every Monday.
Wow.
Night. Yep. So that was like our thing pretty much every Monday night. Now we don't go very often. Once a month. We're trying to do once a month over there. So anyway.
Very cool.
Trying to do more events this year than just popping up at a place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked about this kind of desire to have like a good breakfast burrito. Did you have like food experience before that, or just?
No, I've always loved cooking. I like to serve other people good food. So that's always been something that I've loved to do. My husband is an amazing cook, more so than even me. I love to do it, but I don't have the time to do it very often. Yeah. So, but he cooks almost every day at our house. Like, he's the cook. He's really good. And I don't know if he follows a recipe better or it's probably what it is, because I'm just like throw it all together. But he's really good. He's a really good cook. And like making them, we just thought that it would be super easy. I think that's the reason. Well, we wanted breakfast burritos in Stillwater. We thought it would be a super easy concept, which I think technically it should be, It's just you always have to have the people to get them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to have a place to set up. It's very difficult. I will say the food health department changes the laws regularly. And so there's been law changes probably twice a year since we've started. So then you have to adjust your whole system. Like there used to be, you have to have a commissary for your truck. So you can't prep any food in the truck. You have to prep it in a licensed kitchen, which makes it really hard if you have a food truck.
You have to have a licensed kitchen.
And then you have to have a licensed kitchen. So then you have to pay for a license for a kitchen. They just made a law this past year, and I don't think it goes into effect till then, but we changed our whole interior of our food truck towards the end of last year because they made a law that if you run propane, you have to have a fire suppression system, which is thousands of dollars. So it's they do not make it easy with like a lot of the laws and stuff. So it sounds like such a quick like mobile food truck. That's easy, but it has been very challenging for us personally, but it's been successful. I mean, we have made a profit, so
that's good.
We are doing okay.
Yeah.
We just don't run it as much as we would like to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would be the next step?
I mean, we'd like to do a brick and mortar. We've always looked at it's on west side of town, Tai Loco, that building. Like that is the perfect size building.
Yeah.
But they are, they have a wonderful business there. That's actually one of my favorite places to eat here. But
yeah.
That location, we want something super small. Like people can walk up or drive through, something like that. But that would be our next step, I think.
Really cool. Very cool.
Yep.
So tell me about your other work.
Okay, so I also do alterations of all kinds. I have a shop at the Pines, which sounds like an odd space. They have about 14 suites in there, and maybe not 14, 12, I'm not sure. Anyway, a bunch of suites, the Pines is an apartment complex on Lakeview.
Right.
And their clubhouse building, they've got all the suites. So whenever I quit my former job, I was tailoring for them, and I was also a barber. And so I didn't know that I would take on tailoring. I just thought I was going to go over there and, my clients a lot of my clients followed me over there, and I was cutting hair. And then a lot of my clients were tailoring clients as well. And they were like, well, why don't you do tailoring too? And I thought, well, I don't know if I could really run a business, but honestly, tailoring is a massive business. So I stay very, very busy with tailoring. So it's cool. Nice. Yeah.
So you say it's a bit like it's a significant, like, would you say industry, significant size business in town?
It is shocking to me how many people get clothes altered.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like
what kind of clothes? Like I picture like suits and things like that.
Well, sure, suits
and dresses.
Obviously, suits.
Probably a lot of wedding dresses.
Hemming. I've done some wedding dresses. The amount of college kids that get things altered is crazy. Yeah, I'm on a sorority group chat, which is kind of funny because then I get girls from sororities that like want to get clothes altered. They have date nights all the time or date parties or something, and so some of them. I mean, there's some girls I've done 20 dresses for in the last year. Like they just get a new dress and it's too short or it's too big or it's too small or so I take it in, take it out, whatever. So that's it keeps me quite busy, honestly. The tailoring. So, but I mean, you can alter anything. I've sewn in new zippers in couches. Yeah. Random things.
Yeah.
New zippers in coats, things like that. So just kind of anything.
That's so fascinating. Yeah. There are all kinds of things on this podcast. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that before, but I would never have pictured that the alteration scene in Stillwater is big.
I know. There's a lot of college students and around like the job fair and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'll get a lot of boys in, generally their moms call and say, my son needs this done. And also they're like, we need it done in 2 days. So that's always fun. But I managed to get it done. I keep up with it pretty well so people don't have to wait too long, But I actually really enjoy doing that as well as barbering. It's kind of a good mix I've got the same space for both, but I kind of have two sides of the room.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Cool. So the barbering's just like your own practice. Cool.
Yep.
Very cool. So how long have you been doing that?
I have been barbering for 25 years.
Wow.
Yep. And been on my own now for 3 in the space where I'm at. So,
very cool. Cut my hair a couple times back when I had hair on top of my head. That's great. So are you from So you said you moved here from New Mexico. So what brought you to Stillwater?
My husband's job.
Okay.
So we were in a position where we needed to move out of the place where we were. There was just a bunch of family stuff and things, and we needed a new start. And so my husband got the option of Stillwater, Oklahoma, or Buffalo, New York. Those were his 2 options. And so we looked obviously into both of them, and I was like, okay, I literally knew nothing about Oklahoma, like nothing. But we came down here one weekend because it was easy. It was the easiest, closest place from where we were. Yeah. So we drove down on a weekend, drove around, realized the housing is crazy here. Like, if you're close, we realized eventually the closer you are to campus, the more expensive in certain areas. We decided to rent for a year before we bought something because we were just like, we do not know this area. It's so different and interesting. It's very interesting. But we found the people very friendly when we came here. I mean, I remember calling my husband and I was like, babe, I just went to the gas station and the lady at the checkout talked to me for 15 minutes. I was like, nobody does that. Yeah. I do feel like people are like very talkative and very friendly here. And so anyway, that was like our first impression. We're like, oh my gosh, people hold the doors for people. Instead of walking and slamming it in your face, you're like, whoa, thank you. So there was a lot of nice people here, and we were like, okay. And Buffalo, New York, we looked at the crime and we were like, no. Like, I guess we're moving to Stillwater. So Stillwater it was. Yeah.
Stillwater's a great place.
Yeah.
So what was so you said it's kind of a weird place, kind of different prices and different little like pockets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What have you thought of just like the culture here with it being like a small town and OSU, all that stuff?
I think that in general, people are very kind, I find that people are very kind. I do think it's a little cliquish sometimes. People that have been here for a long time together, I think it's hard to fit into certain groups of people, but there's also so much new blood here all the time that it kind of counteracts that. And so I really enjoyed meeting new people and making really good friends here. So yeah,
it definitely does have that, like the people who've been here for a long time all know each other. Yes. Like that sort of thing.
So you kind of feel like an outsider, Yeah. But I think that's most small towns.
True. And that's what I was about to say. Most small towns. But we have so many people cycling in and out all the time. There's always somebody else here who's new at the same time. I think there have just been so many new events in Stillwater lately that also kind of helps counteract that. And new businesses and just new
I love
stuff
all the
to go
new
out and do.
businesses that are coming. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, tons of stuff.
Do you have any favorite like local businesses, or you're like friends with the owners, or just places you really like to go?
So I'm not friends with owners, but I love the little shop downtown, the Little Sapling.
That's so funny. So the last person I talked to said the exact same thing.
Did they say the same thing? I just think it's so unique. Actually, my daughter has some art in there right now, so she's like super stoked. Yeah, that's awesome. But I went in there and talked to her right after she opened, and I bought like a bunch of things. I was just like, this is the coolest stuff. It was very interesting, and I like that the art is there and it's available and you can purchase it there. And because I love art, and art is, it's all relative to what you like, and everybody likes different stuff, and it's all interpretive. And so anyway, I love that. But I'm trying to think of some of my other favorite. Of course, I love Thai Loco. That's my favorite food place. Yeah. But yeah, there's just like so many things that have come here since I moved here. Even like it's crazy in 9 years. Yeah.
We're in Roundhouse, by the way, for those watching, not watching. Yep. We're Roundhouse Bakery right now.
Yep. Hatch right across there.
Yep. Literally
Really
sharing
good.
a wall.
That was one of our favorite breakfast places.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then they moved here and we were like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
We'd go to Oklahoma City or Edmond for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So funny story. They actually share a bathroom.
Oh, okay.
So like the back hall is because it's all like the whole building's owned by the same person, Corey Williams.
Yes.
So yeah, it's Hatch is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I will say they have a good breakfast burrito, but I don't know if it stands up to the brisket.
Well, what I find in Oklahoma with breakfast burritos is they put raw peppers and onions in them.
Right.
That is not okay.
Really? Yeah. And the other thing I think is, and this is mostly the fast food places, but it's like we're going to cook the eggs by themselves, probably with no seasoning.
Yes.
And then we're going to take the meat that is either pre-cooked or still has its own seasoning. We're going to cook that and we're going to cook that separate. And then we're going to take potatoes and we're going to boil those potatoes. Maybe salt and pepper. Yes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to combine all these things. It's not, there's no meshing of the flavors before it gets put together. And that's how I like to make food. I love making like stir fries, fried rice. We like making kind of Mexican style bowls at home. And I love to like get everything kind of mixed together so that the flavors blend. And that's what I love whenever I bite into one of those amazing brisket burritos is just like, it's all there. All the spices are just like perfect. They complement each other.
Thank you.
And I always want a second one, even though my stomach is saying you're full.
Right. Oh my gosh. No, I feel like our breakfast burritos are good. We've had to add lunch stuff and things.
Yeah.
Over the years. And then queso, my husband was adamant against queso.
Oh, really?
Like,
Against
we're
queso?
not having queso. And I was like, babe, everybody's been asking for queso.
So why no queso? Like why?
He just thought it would, they don't do queso in New Mexico on breakfast burritos. There's
Really?
no queso.
Okay.
I think queso is like an Oklahoma thing.
Not even a Texas thing?
I mean, I think Texas people eat queso.
Yeah.
But on a breakfast burrito, maybe. I don't know. But New Mexico, not a thing. So he was like, oh, no, we do not want to add one more thing to our thing. But it's done really well having queso.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that makes sense too with a food truck. You're trying to work with minimal ingredients and as little moving parts as possible, especially since you're having to prep it all somewhere else.
Right.
And then do that. Mm-hmm. So was that hard having to like find an industrial kitchen?
Okay. So it was super hard. People want an arm and a leg for a space. So I looked up on, Google, what's the average price of a commercial kitchen? $25 an hour. I'm like, oh, perfect. But see, our briskets cook for 12 hours.
Yeah.
12 to 14 hours. So I'm like, okay. So, but most people that do prep in a kitchen, you need a couple hours.
Right.
So it should be $50, right?
Yeah.
That does not exist here. In anybody that I've talked to. And I talked to a lot of people. But there was a bakery, a girl that owns a bakery that I was friends with. And I said, would you be interested in letting us use it at night? And she was like, well, I don't know. She wasn't sure. She was worried about insurance, things like that. I was like, okay, well, we'll have our own insurance. We'll do all this. So anyway, we ended up doing that for the last year and a half or so. And then we just parted ways with her and revamped our truck at the end of the year. So now we can keep everything. We cook it in the food truck but it finishes. So as long as it doesn't go in the refrigerator, this is the law. So you can't cook something and then put it in the refrigerator and then reheat it unless it's done in a commercial kitchen.
Okay, so you can cook in the food truck.
You can cook in the food truck.
You can't like prep it the day before, refrigerate, and then so you can cook everything right up until you're ready to serve it.
Yes, so that is what we have been doing for the past 2 months. It is very difficult.
Yeah.
A lot of timing issues, but we bought warmers and, more things like that so that, and then got rid of the propane so we can do only electric and
Very nice.
It's working out, but it was quite the process.
Yeah. Sounds
and like
it.
I said, in 3 months they might have a new law that changes everything again. So it is very, very challenging for the food truck, but people get around it. And I don't, there's a lot of food trucks in town that are amazing. When we first moved here, the Don Pibble.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they have great food, but they've got a food truck and there's no kitchen there. So I've always been like so confused as to how it works. But I don't know. I don't know about everybody else. I know
You know they have their brick and mortar.
Yes, but it has
Which
to be
is-
on the property if you're parked there permanently. That's what we've been told.
Interesting.
I know, it's very interesting. But
So do you think they probably just cook theirs that morning before
they
or
must.
something?
I think that's what they do is they only prep it in the
makes
kitchen.
sense.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good trucks in town. The one was like Sabor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty good too. Their tacos.
Yeah.
Great. Love tacos. But I feel like we're getting a ton of Mexican-ish type food places here.
Yeah, and you see kind of in the in some of like the Facebook community pages and stuff like that, a lot of people are like, someone will say, "Oh, I'm new to Stillwater, what's it like?" And people say, "I hope you like Mexican food,
and chicken fingers,
and car washes."
Literally, so true. So I kind of feel like I thought the breakfast burrito because I already thought there was a lot of Mexican food here, but I was like, breakfast burritos are different, because I don't even think there's any food trucks that sell breakfast burritos. I could be wrong. I haven't tried one from one, but we were just gonna do that, and I think we have. This is the other thing I've realized about Stillwater. Other than Saturdays, and we do Saturdays, we'll open at like 9 to like 11 or 12. But people are not early risers here.
They're not.
Nope.
They're not. Like all of downtown opens at 10 a.m.
I know.
Except for Hatch and like the other really breakfasty places, Aspen Coffee and stuff like that. But it's not a very morning-y place.
My husband and I are early risers. Like we get up 4:35 every day. Automatically our bodies just suck in that direction. We're like, it doesn't matter what time we go to bed, we're like up crack. So we're like, we'll just start at 6 a.m. selling burritos, So we've tried that a few times and nobody comes.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, this is not an early rising town, which is fine. But
you know what's interesting about that though? When I was talking to Corey Williams, he told me this story, and sorry if people have heard this before, but he told me this story about how the owner of Kinko's had a friend who basically had a 24-hour convenience store down the street. Have you heard this story? Okay, so guy had a 24-hour convenience store, and he realized that overnight he was only making like $200 or something like that. Not really quite enough to justify it keeping open. So he closed at night and was just open during the day, and he lost 20% of his revenue. And he told his friend, the owner of Kinko's, that, and that guy basically heard, if you stay open all night, you'll make 20% more money. And he did, which was really crazy. So do with that what you will. But and another thing that he said kind of right around that time in the podcast was, if a business is inconsistent with their hours, people will just kind of write you off their list versus if they know you're going to like be there all the time, which I know for a food truck is like kind of interesting. It is
so hard. Unless that's your full-time job. We are very inconsistent. I feel like I'm consistent in posting our schedule every week.
Yeah. That's good.
But that's it. Because we just kind of go with what, what there is to do. So
yeah. Well, and people, if you want to follow their social media, the links are down in the show notes.
Yes.
So.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, it is hard though, I bet, just trying to find consistent places. Because is there anywhere where every week someone just says you can be here at this time?
Well, so Stone Cloud has the most possibility of being consistent because they put out a sign up genius.
Oh, okay.
But you've got to be on top of that.
Right.
The day they put it out, you better be on there.
Yeah.
In last 6 months schedule, I was. This 6 month schedule, no, like it was Christmas time and all that going on. And so, I went on to go last Monday and it was already full. So I was like, okay. So we did Tuesday night, which actually turned out really well.
Oh, good.
But Monday nights are good for us. It's a trivia night there.
Yep.
And us being there every Monday night, we have a lot of regulars that come every Monday night. So, but we're not going to be there on Monday nights for a while because it's all full.
Because of the signups.
Frio's, the guy at Frio's, put in hookups for food trucks there at his little intersection.
Yeah.
And we've had conversations with him many times, but also once again the health department won't let us be there more than 24 hours without moving. So
interesting.
Mobile food trucks have to move within 24 hours unless your kitchen's on site. That's what they said.
Yeah. So why is that an issue for 24 hours?
Okay, so like we talked with him. I can't remember his name. Oh my gosh.
Is it Cody?
I think it's Cody. Yeah.
Okay.
So we were wanting to set up somewhere consistently every day.
Yeah.
Right.
And that makes sense. So you're talking about every day.
Yes,
Yeah,
like being there, even from like 9 to 12 every day.
That's why you just drive around the block. It's like all the people who work downtown who get their tires marked, It's like, okay, well, yeah, I have to move, so I'm going to just do a little circle, and here I'm back.
I know all about that, working downtown before. You're like, set a timer on your phone, go turn around.
Yep.
But no, it is hard to set up there. We've set up there twice now, and it was pretty good. It was on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. So decent traffic and stuff like that. I think that's a pretty good location. If there could be a bunch of trucks, we could all get together. And my husband's talked about this for years. Like, have a food truck park where...
Is that like a trailer park?
Well, pretty much, because they're food trailers. But
yeah.
Where there was a commissary on site.
Okay.
And everyone had their own little thing, and then you just park there. And then, because also being able to hook up is a big bonus with a food truck.
Block 34.
Yes, there are hookups on Block 34.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It is really exciting. I'm excited for that to be done and see how it all turns out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I think that'd be really cool, just depending on how long you're, or how consistently you can park there and stuff like that. Because I bet there'd be a bunch of people who work downtown, who, no offense to any restaurant downtown, but it's just like different options are great,
Yeah.
And so if there could be some people kind of over there more often. But yeah, that would be really interesting if there was a spot where a bunch of food trucks. So when you say a commissary, you just mean like tables, chairs?
No. I mean an actual kitchen.
Oh, okay. So everyone kind of shares the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
My husband has whole plans drawn up for it to have multiple kitchens, like mini kitchens in 6 things. He's got plans. He actually talked to a couple investors. They weren't interested.
Well, it sounds like he just hasn't found the right investors.
He hasn't found the right investors.
That could be awesome.
I think it would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel like Stillwater could support that as well,
I think so, especially if it's in the right spot. Mm-hmm. I think there are, it's weird. They're just, and I don't know if it's just because people who own the properties are sitting on them, but you can drive up and down like even Perkins Road, and it's just like, why is there nothing there? In certain spots.
We've called on a bunch of properties along main streets, and they don't really want to sell them. There's a property,
but even rent, right?
Well, rent is high, but they say for sale or lease. So you call them and you say, well, how much is it for sale? $7.5 million. Okay. Well, how much would you lease it for? Well, we're not really interested in leasing it. So it says that, but they really don't want to lease it. They just want to sell it or just hold on to it. And I think in what that entails is essentially it's going to be a big box place or, like a corporation, because no small business owner can afford $7 million for a tiny lot,
Yeah.
Silly.
It is what it is.
I talked to someone about a property, probably 2 months ago, and I said, how much is this? And I mean, it's rough, the property itself, but it's in a great location. And he said, I want $750,000 for it. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, are you interested in leasing it at all? And he said, no. He said, and I honestly don't have to sell it, so I'm just going to leave it at that price. If someone wants to pay it, great. If not, I'll just sit on it because I don't have to sell it. And I was like, okay. So I think that, that is some of the issue with, finding places. There are places available. Mm-hmm. They're just either so pricey for like a small business to own,
Right. Yeah, it's hard. And I think a lot of people don't really have that perspective on small businesses. Like, I mentioned the Facebook community page. You just see somebody has a bad experience and they're kind of a Karen or whatever. And they just like go and trash a small business. They don't see that side of it of like, I would like a place for my business to be permanent. Okay, great. Well, for rent, you're looking at like minimum of a couple grand a month, especially for someplace with a kitchen.
Sure.
In a decent location. So immediately, boom, your business rent just went higher than probably your mortgage.
Right.
And then there's the side of like, oh, well, maybe I could own something one day. It's like, yeah, cool. Save for about 30 years of paying rent in that same location.
Yes.
In order to be able to buy that. And it's really difficult.
It's really
start
hard.
A
I
business.
mean, unless you've just got a lot of backing. But see, we haven't taken out any loans.
That's awesome.
Right.
That's
so
great.
that's something we just like, if we have the money for it, we do it. And then, so we're not like in debt to this business. So it's been a good thing, but that's what we've wanted to do when we started, Yeah.
So that's great. Most business owners obviously don't have that luxury.
It's hard to not do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you need any kind of equipment whatsoever, you have to, like, we're sitting in Roundhouse right now. It's like, if you want to buy tables,
right,
you better have that money.
Yeah,
if you want a giant pastry kitchen, you have to have that money. So yeah. That's really great that that you guys are able to be debt free with that. That's awesome.
I know. It is. It's like
and that you said you've been doing it 3 years.
Makes me happy.
Yeah. And that you're profitable after 3 years.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
We are not taking money from ourselves anymore, which, in the beginning you're like, oh my gosh. So we'll pull it out of the account and then we each have to pitch in a little bit to, buy the food for the next one, Yeah. So, but yes, it's self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah. Gotta fund the business somehow, right? Podcast is kind of the same way. Like,
Yes.
I had to figure out what the budget was going to be, just to make this happen. And so, little plug, subscribe on Patreon for more content. All right. Well, any final thoughts?
I don't think so. I think you should come try BABS. Follow our Facebook, which is BABS Burritos on Facebook, and then Instagram is BABS, just all capital BABS. I don't know why we have them different, but the other ones weren't available. So anyway, but I think he's going to link it in the comments. But follow our page. We do post where we're going to be every Sunday for the week, and it'll tell you where we're at and what we're doing, and come try us.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in to Still Connect. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Liz. Be sure to check out BABS on all their social media, linked in the show notes below. And if you loved today's episode, don't forget to follow the podcast on social media as well, where I share highlights, updates, and more. Also, be sure to share the podcast with all of your Stillwater friends so that we can grow the podcast and our community. If you believe in building community through these conversations, consider supporting the podcast on Patreon, where for a small monthly commitment, you can get early access to episodes, a peek behind the curtain at the podcast making process, and a shout out on an episode. With a higher contribution, you can submit questions for upcoming guests, make special requests for the show, get access to online Q&As, and even be on the podcast for an interview segment. No matter what your capacity for supporting the podcast is, every little bit helps grow this amazing community. And we all need community. So even when life gets busy, make sure you still connect.